What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 146. And today we're going to finish up the week that was in week number 15, right as week number 16 comes to a close. So we are going to be wrapping that up. You'll see week 16 in about 2 days' time. With me this evening from Denver, Colorado, he is the man who took care of all the research while I was on a boat and while I was recovering from COVID, Jason Ashby. Jason, you were on your vacation as well, my friend. You got to see the Mets take down the Yankees in Yankee Stadium for 2 straight. How you feeling now that you're back in Denver?
Yeah, the trip was amazing. The games were incredible, especially last year when I was there. The games weren't so great, so it was nice to see some wins at Yankee Stadium. It felt really, really good, especially that Wednesday one where they just beat the shit out of them. That was awesome. Uh, Home now, and now the Mets aren't doing so well, so it kind of ebbs and flows. But my team's rolling. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm ready to break this down.
Let's get started here with introducing from right down the hallway, socially distant from myself. He is the commissioner and a 3-time Bigs champion. He is the one and only Ben Nisman. Benny, how you feeling these days, my friend? I hope you're staying healthy.
Feeling great, Joe. Thank you. Welcome home to both of you, and happy to be finishing off discussing this particular week, most unusual week ever, not just because of the All-Star break, but also the fact that we're breaking this down when week 16 is already done and we know who's won those matchups. So I'm sure that will tie into what we discussed. So it's been crazy. Obviously, a lot of lopsided stuff that we got to discuss, but it's been insane, and I've been enjoying it as a commissioner and as a manager right now. So let's finish it off. Joe, please, as always, lead us off, my man.
Let's get going, boys. Jason, we're going to start off with your matchup against Jay Ferraro, and we have to say thank you very much, sir, for the 15-6 win over Jay Ferraro this week. On Sunday, it looks like it was 14-6 coming in, 15-6 coming out. Nothing changed, so it's 15-6 going in and 15-6 coming out. Very nice.
Yep.
Uh, Close categories, Jason, you won by 2 triples, a steal, 3 ticks on the batting average, 2 wins, 2 losses, 2 saves, 4 walks by a pitcher, and 9 ticks on the whip. Well done, sir. Every coin flip fell in your favor.
Thank you.
Gotta love
Thank you.
it.
Yeah,
Gotta
this
love
was
it.
this was a very stressful 10 days, let me tell you.
Jay, to his credit, gets wins by 2 errors and 13 home runs by a pitcher. He only gave up 2 over 79 innings. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, there was one point late in like the first half of the week where his ERA was still sub 1, and I figured it was gonna be one of those weeks again with Jay where he puts together just a stupid pitching week. It came up a little bit, so like it kind of normalized, but yeah, it was tough sledding.
A 2.62 ERA and a 1.19 whip across 79 innings for Jay this week. It is a very nice pitching line, but it doesn't win him whip. And in fact, he will lost quite a few of these pitching categories. We'll dive into it further here momentarily. On his bench this week, Benjamin, Jason went 5 for 32.
Oh man, um, pretty good, Jason. 133.
It's a 156
Oh, that was my next guess. I was where I was going to say 156.
with a run, a homer, an RBI, 3 stolen bases, 4 walks, 16 strikeouts, and an error. Doesn't look like any of that plays because you won the stolen base category, the homers category going away, the RBIs category going away, the runs category going away.
Mm,
Offensively, this team came to hit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
about
my
time.
God. And unbelievable how you have 15 extra at bats, but you get those 5 extra hits. Needed all of them to grab batting average here, 275 to 272. That's madness. It's
Yeah.
Hmm.
really, really awesome when you can grab something like that. Because obviously going into the last day, that is a coin flip. You have no idea who's going to win it.
Right. Right. Used all 10 moves this week, starting off with Jose Quintana, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned against Washington, and drops Bo Naylor for Tyler Soderstrom, 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. Drops Garrett Mitchell for Reese Hines after the bell, 1 for 4 with a steal, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. But this is the kid who went absolutely nuts for you, right?
Yeah, until he forgot how to hit like halfway through the week. So yeah, we can talk more about him, but he came out like a man on fire and then fell down to earth like, a ton of bricks. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. Tyler Soderstrom gets dropped for Jake Bloss, 4 innings, a homer, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 450 and a 125 against Miami. Jake Bloss gets dropped for MJ Melendez, who never got played. Jose Urania gets dropped for Jose Bucco, 2 2 2/3, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. Melendez gets dropped for Victor Vodnik on a clean relief appearance. Jose Quintana for Gio Urshela, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh gets dropped for Shelby Miller, who did not appear. And Brian Bayo gets dropped for Michael Lorenzen for week 16. Your MVP this week starts off as Reese Hines, but you're giving it to Colt Keith. Tell us what Colt Keith did for you this week.
10 runs, a double, a triple, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, like the 333 with a 455. Yeah, I'm loving this kid. Thank you for dropping him and letting me scoop him up because he's been really good these last couple of weeks. And again, Reese Hines, he started off really good, but and he still has some good counting stats here with 8 RBIs and 5 runs scored, but he really kind of fell off as the week progressed. He went off like here right before the break, and then once the second half started, he kind of just forgot how to hit, and it sent him down. And who knows when we'll see him again.
Yeah, we might not see him again. He might just be that one flash in the pan guy who shows up for a couple of weeks. Lindor also had a great week for you with 7 RBIs and 11 walks with a 468 on base percentage. So
Yeah,
good on that. He's been absolutely lights out since he moved up to the leadoff spot. We talked about that, I think, last week.
loving it.
Your MVP this week, like we said, was Colt Keith, the least valuable hitter this week. This is a kid that I'm concerned is going to be a problem in about 2 years. James Wood, he 200 with a 220 on base percentage, 3 runs, a homer, 6 RBIs, a steal, 17 strikeouts, and an error. That's hideous. But you know what? I really just feel like this kid's going to be a problem in a couple of years for us.
Yeah, and I'm trying to hold, to be patient and hold on to him for as long as I can, see if he can figure out, big league pitching this year. But because I don't want to give up on him too soon. But yeah, the strikeouts continue is going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cy Young,
especially now because you don't know if necessarily they're going to be really going for it to be like they might trade. They've already traded away Jesse Winker. The offense isn't going to get much better. I feel like this guy still needs a couple of years to fill into his body. He's big now, but wait till this kid is like 27, 28, then he's going to be huge and really fill into his body and have more power. So right now, yeah, he's learning, he's developing in the big leagues. So you're going to get those highs and lows. I've seen some of the highs though. Like I've seen some really clutch hits from him so far, and a lot of times where he just looks really bad in certain at bats. So I don't know what to think about this guy, but he was part of a pretty important trade here. So I still expect him to be good. So because he was so highly touted, you're just going to have to see how much power this guy can actually develop and the plate discipline as well.
Mm-hmm. The Cy Young for you, Jason, this week is Edwin Diaz, 2 1/3, 3 saves, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned in an 086 across 3 relief appearances. The Cy Yuck goes to Chris Bassett, 11 2/3, a win, a loss, 2 bombs, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 617, and a 146. You pitched pretty well to a 3.36 with a 110. The 110 wins you that category, but the 3.36 is going to compete most weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I knew against Jay, even if his ERA wasn't going to stay below 1, that it was going to be a pretty low number. So I kind of knew that, I didn't have to worry too much about ERA. I just fell into some really good pitching this week.
Yeah.
Benjamin for Jay Ferraro on his bench this week. He goes 4 for 8.
Nice. All right. It's a 500 average.
It
That's
is
weird.
with a run, 2 homers, 2 RBIs, and none of it plays.
Mm.
Maybe the opportunity to get a hit or two in, but I don't think it would be enough.
Well, I mean, 4 for 8, if things, I mean, I don't know where those hits were actually. So, I mean, I don't know if it was a
It's a
certain point.
one. Most of it is one play. It's Jackson Churio, a 4 for 6 on the bench with
Oh,
yep.
instead of who?
With left and center field empty.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was in the middle of the matchup?
On Saturday, it looks like.
It was the day before
Saturday, like
the day before the last day.
wow. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because he also had
Very
Yoshida
interesting.
on the bench. Like, yeah, I don't know what went on there.
Yoshida as well had like a big day.
No, but he had left field and center field empty, so he could have put both of those guys in the
Right,
lineup
right,
just
right,
to
right.
just to fill it out.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
Yep. He used all 10 moves this week. He dropped Wilyer Brave for Rowdy Telez, 1 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Drops Telez for Joshua Palacios, 1 for 5 with a 2-run homer, and Cianel Perez. He dropped Pierce Johnson for Ben Joyce, an inning, 3 strikeouts and a relief appearance. Drops Cianel Perez for Masataka Yoshida, 3 for 4, a run, a homer, and 4 RBIs. Joshua Palacios gets dropped for Xavier Edwards, who hit for the cycle today.
Yes.
Did you see this? Did you hear about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. And Mike Haber at the game on Wednesday was cursing up a storm on Xavier Edwards. Who the hell is this guy? Because he was beating up on him on week 16, but I digress.
Yeah. He went 2 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout the day that he picked him up. Porter Hodge gets dropped for Brusdar Gratterall on the IL. Taylor Saucedo dropped for Jacob Wilson, son of Jack Wilson. 1 for 1 with a run
What?
and
Is
left with
that
a
real?
hamstring strain.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
true? He's really the son of Jack Wilson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
How old do we
Who's
feel?
that? Who's that Hodge character you mentioned? What a silly name that was.
Porter Hodge.
Porter Hodge.
He's a hodgepodge.
He's a middle reliever for the Chicago Cubs.
The day you name your kid Porter when your last name is Hodge. It's just ridiculous. Sorry. Continue.
Ha-Sung Kim gets dropped for Nolan Shanuel 0 for 2 with a strikeout and left with calf tightness. And finally, Nolan Shanuel gets dropped for Zach Neto, 2 for 5 with a run and a strikeout. The MVP this week goes to Nico Horner. I'm looking on the wrong team. That's why. Nico Horner, 341 with a 400 on base, 8 runs, 5 doubles, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter goes to Adley Rutschman, 147 with a 256 on base, 4 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, 5 walks, and 5 strikeouts. The Cy Young, how good is Paul Skeens? Like, how good are we thinking that this kid is actually going to be, Jason?
Dude, I mean, the guy was drafted last year, and here he is starting the All-Star game the very next year. Like, you got to think that the ceiling is super high, right? Like, there's no way we've seen the best of him yet.
Well, I don't think that's the case either, but at the same time, like, this really feels like there's also a Matt Harvey kind of vibe going on here.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Maybe.
didn't even gauge that. Like, I thought this guy has been such a specimen so far, and I've really, especially being on the Pirates, it's almost like, I don't know, I almost feel it's like closer to like a Strasburg, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like for a team that's like not that great right now.
Mhm.
So it's been really impressive his last start when not obviously his most recent, but against the Cardinals, and he's pitched into the ninth inning and gave up like 2 hits. One was, of course, an Arenado bomb that I had on the bench, but let's not get into that. It's just the fact that this guy is so young, and it's like they're not really babying him. He seems to be pitching deep into games. He's obviously striking out more than one an inning. I mean, he's really blowing my mind. As far as like something that we haven't seen in a while when he's super young, like I do remember the feeling of Strasburg. I remember it for Justin Verlander. some other guys as well, even Greinke to an extent. But when the hype is there for that guy and they actually deliver, it's a lot of fun watching him. It's like must-be TV every single time this guy's pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, which makes it kind of fun as well.
Yep.
The only concern
this
is,
week,
you mentioned Strasburg and Harvey, and both of these guys threw just as hard as he's throwing, and now they were kind of but they fizzled out with injuries in what,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years. So there is that concern that if he keeps going at this rate, you'd hate to see it, but it's possible that he ends up just in that same boat.
No, I hear you. I will say though that Strasburg was less of a meteor that came and went that Matt Harvey was.
yeah.
At least Strasburg started in 2010. He did win a championship. I know that Harvey got to one, but Strasburg was amazing in that playoff. He just ate innings constantly and kept them in games, even games where Strasburg didn't pitch all that great. He pitched into the sixth, so you see him into the seventh, and then eventually they come back and win the game because he kept them so close. So I just remember him being a more consistent star than Matt Harvey was through their career. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but I just think there was some more of a longevity of greatness with Strasburg.
Love the conversation. Love the conversation.
And
guys,
also,
let us know. What do you think? One second, Jason. Let us know what you guys think. What's the ceiling for Paul Skeens? Are we setting it too low with Matt Harvey? Are we setting it too high with Steven Strasburg, or are we really talking about Justin Verlander? Go ahead, Jason.
I hats off to Jay for drafting this kid in the 19th round, and he's pitching like a Cy Young.
Absolutely, starting the All-Star game the year after he's drafted. It's quite a meteoric rise. I just question whether or not we've seen it before with a Dark Knight or Thor or a DeGrom even.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
The Cy Young this week goes to Jose Alvarado, 4 1/3, a loss, an 831, a 254 across 5 relief appearances with 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. The end of the day,
the end of his job.
Yeah, maybe the end of his job as they traded for Carlos Estevez. What was that today? Yesterday.
Yeah.
Jason, this is your opportunity to gloat here, my man. You took down quite a large victory over a very tough opponent who is fighting for his playoff life, and you made it very difficult here.
Yeah, and I'm not here to gloat, but I am here to crush dreams, and that's where this team is right now. And I've accepted that, and I'd like to say that I wouldn't want to face this team right now if I was in playoff hunt. So we'll see. I'm hoping to keep rolling. The offense is clicking. I like where the pitching is going. I wish I would have had this team 2 months ago, but here we are.
Here we are indeed. Benji, are you concerned about Jay Ferraro's schedule going forward and his ability to make the playoffs?
Listen, he's definitely got some challenges ahead of him. I think Ari is really the only layup, if you will, that's on his schedule. But you know how Jay plays the game. He just plays it day to day. And you don't know what the hell his lineup is going to be in a week. I mean, one thing I was kind of curious because Jason, you played this guy for the long week and you really got the best of him. I was curious how you felt and how you navigated through this process, knowing the style of how Jay plays and knowing that you had the long week based on what the score was going into the break and knowing that you were typically going to use your 10 ads, he was too. How did you work out all these different variables that were going to be existing throughout a very, very long matchup?
Yeah, the ads were a big part of it because I know, like I said, both of us use our ads, all 10 ads every week. And I've been tracking Jay a little bit and seeing sometimes he'll use 5 or 6 within the first two, 1 or 2 days of the matchup, and then kind of spread out the rest as the week goes by. Uh, so I was curious to see how he was going to do that in a long week, and really did spread him out. I think he used like two twice in a day. Otherwise, it was one ad a day. So he really spread it out over the course of the long week. Um, but he has guys like Bourgeois Gratterall in the IL spot. So he's also done that where he'll kind of, I won't say waste an ad, but use an ad on a guy who's not going to see the field for a couple of weeks. So that doesn't really play for the current matchup. So I was kind of just going back and forth with him on the ads. I see him making ads, so I'm like, okay, I can make an ad. I wanted to make sure that I stayed, at least tied or fewer than him in the ads used, so that come Sunday I can make an ad if I need to, going into coming out of the long week. So turns out I didn't really need it at the end of the day. But I liked having it just to be sure.
And it's so hard to watch Jay Ferraro because you never know what he's going to do, whether he's going to add the hitter, whether he's going to add the reliever, whether he's going to add that starting pitcher randomly. He's just, that is just one of those guys that is easily the most predictable. So here's how the schedule goes right now. He has Mike Haber. He's just finishing up that matchup. He seemed to take a loss by making it close. Then it's Bryan, Lebo, Henry Collins, then myself, Ari Nisman, Jimmy Dunlap, and then Cody to finish it. It's not easy, guys. It's certainly not an easy one. He's had some tough times here in general. I feel like just maybe getting consistency pitching wise. Listen, he's 4-11 in innings pitched, 6-8 in wins. He's had 500 in losses, 7-7, 8-5 in saves, 6-9 in home runs, 9-6 in walks given up, 6-9 in strikeouts, 10-5 in ERA, 9-6 in WHIP, and 7-8 in RAP. Those numbers are kind of all over the place. I almost, I just he's been. You guys know that he had an 8 week span where he didn't get a win, and then he gets a little win, a nice little win on Frank, and then he takes this one to Jason, and then another loss here to Mike. So it's been hard to find consistent winning. As far as on the offensive side, he's 8-7 in runs, 6-8 in doubles, 8-5 with 2 ties and triples, 4-6 in home runs with 5 ties. 5 ties in home runs, guys. Seven and
Wow.
six in RBIs with 2 ties, 8-4 in stolen bases with 3 ties, 7-8 in walks, 10-5 in strikeouts, 6-6 in errors with 3 ties, 8-7 in batting average, 6-9 in OBP. Maybe a little bit better, but sort of still kind of going back and forth with some of these things. That's why he is basically a 500 team. It's a question of which direction this guy is going in. We know his schedule isn't easy, but this is a 2-time back-to-back champion. I mean, we can't take him for granted.
And
No
look,
doubt.
even with all the you mentioned the stretch of lack of wins and just the small win against Frank. Even with those losses against me, he's still in a playoff spot. Like at the end of the day, so it's not like he's free falling down the standings, and so he's still right there.
He's going to be in this fight until the end, and I certainly believe that he might be one of the 6 that get in. We'll have to wait and see, but I certainly believe Jay Ferraro is going to be in the fight until the very end of this thing. Unfortunately, our next matchup is of 2 teams that I don't believe will be in this fight to the very end. They are, in fact, Mike Sherman and Frank Bucco. Frank Bucco taking a 9-11 loss to Mike Sherman this week. Last year, about this time, maybe a little later in the season, Frank took a loss to Mike Sherman, and we kind of pointed at it as the 1 week you kind of got to win if you want to be a playoff team. And unfortunately, here we are again with Mike Sherman taking out Frank. Benji, what do you got?
Yeah, Joe, I mean, it was week 22, so it's still like not quite a year ago, but we're getting a little bit closer, about 6 weeks from then. But yeah, this was one that Frank, you think like, you lost to Ari again. You gotta get those Mike Sherman wins. And for some reason, he's said it. He's nailed it when he said, "Why am I able to beat some of the strongest, most active managers consistently year to year, but I can't beat Ari or Sherman?" It's just one of those really strange things, and it'll go away eventually. Like maybe he'll beat one of them or the other. But to beat both, it's almost like we go into the year thinking that he just won't beat these guys. It's very, very unusual, and it's probably mostly just circumstantial. But it's just one of those things. And obviously, he should be kind of happy that it came to this point because Sherman was winning by a lot, and Otani like basically bailed out Frank this entire matchup. So give that guy a lot of credit. And yeah, when he wins batting average 268 to 266, and he wins on base percentage 337 to 335. I'm sorry, you'll get into the close categories, but my God, like this could have been so much worse. Like if Frank was kind of in this thing going into week 16, it's because he got clutch on Sunday. Unfortunately, still can't beat this guy, but again, like you take it, I guess.
Yeah. We've so on Sunday, like you said, it was 14-6. Mike Sherman going in, 11-9 coming out. Frank makes a little bit of lemonade here. Close categories on Sunday. First, Frank flipped batting walks, batting average, and on base percentage, all of which Mike Sherman led to make that happen. Close categories this week. Frank wins by 3 doubles, a steal, 2 walks by a hitter, an error, 2 ticks on the batting average, and 2 tick on the on base percentage. Sherman wins by 4 runs, 2 home runs given up by, or 2 home runs by a batter, 2 losses, a save, and 4 relief appearances. They tied in triples. For Mr. Sherman on his bench this week, Benjamin, it's a 3 for 26.
Awesome. That's great. 3 for 26, huh? 3 for 26. I'll say 184.
It's a 115.
Oof. Yeah, that's bad.
2 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. None of it plays. None of it plays.
It's crazy.
Maybe the
hits.
Maybe
There's got to be some hits in there.
3 in 26 at bats.
Oh my God.
3 for 26. Like,
at
what point do we go? At what point do we go? Yeah, you know what? You did fine.
And
I know
one of the hits was a pinch hit, so like the guy wasn't even starting. So of course you're not gonna start that guy.
So it's really 2 for 25, really.
Yeah, I mean technically.
And I'm looking at a 2 for 4 from Cedric Mullins on Saturday. That's
right.
That's it.
That's the whole difference. And it's like it's not that 266 is a bad batting average. To be that impressive on your bench and still lose average and on base that close, that's kind of tough.
Yeah. He used 3 ads all week. Dropped Graham Ashcraft for Bryce Elder, 5 innings, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 540 and a 120 in Arizona. He dropped Spencer Arrighetti and Bryce Elder for Andre Palante, 6 1/3, a loss, a bomb, 5 strikeouts, a 568, and an 095 against Kansas City. He dropped Palante and Cal Quantrill for Jack Sawinski 0 for 4, and then dropped Sawinski outright. His MVP this week is going to go to Ezekiel Tovar, Benjamin. He was quite the little spark plug. 395 with a 415 on base percentage, 7 runs, 4 doubles, 4 bombs, 9 RBIs, a walk, 12 strikeouts, and an error. With a shout out to Willie Adames, who had 2 homers and 9 RBIs at a 394 with a 444. The least valuable hitter is Bryce Terang, 097 with a 176 on base, 4 runs, 3 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young, Luis Severino, 12 and 8/3 innings, 2 wins, 6 walks, 11 strikeouts, a 146 and an 097. How good has he been for the Mets? And I'm shocked he's still on this team.
Yeah, and now, with Senga down again, he's gonna have to keep rolling as the ace, and he's been. Look, I knew as long as he was healthy, he was going to be effective. Being back with Carlos Mendoza was huge for him. So yeah, I'm not really surprised. I'm just glad to see it.
I'm shocked. I will say that I did not expect this. I thought Severino was cooked. I just thought he was one guy that you would just call a bomb, and that's just what he was. But he was still fairly young and still at that point where he could turn it around, and it couldn't have gotten that much worse than last year was, where basically it was just he was done in the first inning, just giving up bombs, walks, bombs, whatever. And yeah, I did not expect this kind of, I mean, basically an all-star, right? And I don't think you can trade him now. I don't think you can trade Manaya, can't trade Quintana. You're going to war with this group, sadly. And if you had Sanga, there's a lot more to get excited about. But okay, McGill has to look himself in the mirror and realize that he can make a humongous difference on this team. And him and Peterson was not sharp, but he's been pretty solid in keeping them in ball games. So I don't know what you guys think of this Mets team as we go through the rest of this matchup, but it was definitely nice to see that Severino can actually turn it around and arguably the comeback player of the year.
Jason, what are you thinking about this Mets team? Are we a playoff team or no?
I think if they think that we are, they're going to need to make a move for a starter. I don't know that it needs to be a Tariq Skubal or a Garrett Crochet. I don't know that it needs to be a frontline guy, but I think they're going to need to get some depth in that rotation, especially if they're going to keep Bucco in the bullpen. He's been so good there; you can't take him out of there. So their rotation depth is a little thin right now, so they're going to need to find something to shore that up if they want to try and make a run. Otherwise, it is what it is.
I love that we just did this on Frank's matchup, that we're just sidebarring into the Mets right now.
Oh,
I love
I knew
it.
it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
Mike Sherman's Cy Yuck this week is Javier Assad, 2 1/3, 2 homers, 2 walks, 1157 and a 386. For Frank on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 4 for 15.
He actually had a bench.
He actually had a bench.
Barely,
but he had one.
Yeah.
257.
267.
Oh my God, what did I do that? I meant that. I meant 267. Because it's one less at bat. I meant to say that. That counts as me getting it.
Okay, that counts as you getting it.
Good job.
With 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The 2 errors would have played, so good job keeping those out of your lineup there, Francis. He used 8 moves this week. He added Michael Lorenzen, 5 innings, a loss, a homer, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 9 and a 180 in LA. He drops Lorenzen for Wilyer Abreu after the bell, who went 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI and a run. He dropped Travis d'Arnaud for Adrian Morejon, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, and a relief appearance. He dropped Sean Jelly, Anthony Banda, and Edwin Uceta for Cam Boozer, an inning, a walk, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a relief appearance. Will Vest, an inning, a win, a walk, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. And Ben Rortvet, 0 for 4 with a strikeout and an error.
Okay.
He dropped Wilyer Abreu for I don't know who the hell Kiter Montero is. No idea. 5 1/3, a loss, 2 bombs, 3 strikeouts, an 844 to 150 in Toronto. And he added Trevor Rogers, 4 2/3, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a 193 to 150 against the Metropolitans.
Kiter Montero pitches for the Tigers, just FYI.
Oh, cool.
Now you know.
Now I know, and knowing's half the battle.
Yeah,
the MVP this week for Frank is going to be Byron Buxton, 364 with a 417, 5 runs, 3 doubles, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter will be Jackson Merrill, 129 with a 156. 2 runs, 2 doubles, a walk, and 13 big strikeouts. With a shout out to Ryan McMahon's 13 big strikeouts this week as well.
Yeah. Nice.
He just walked 9 times.
Yeah, 429 on base percentage despite the 13 strikeouts.
Yep. The Cy Young is going to be Charlie Morton. 12 and a third, 2 homers, a walk, 9 strikeouts, a 3.65 and an 0.97. The Cy Young is Jose Barrios, who had an 11.25, 4 walks, and no strikeouts in his start. None. Not a one.
Gross. Yeah. It wasn't a great pitching week for Frank this week with a +5.
What was it? 513.
Yeah, 513 with a
and a
160.
160.
Yeah. Not great.
Nope.
I don't know what to say, man. Like, obviously, I said that he's on the record for having a lot of losses to 2 guys that are by far the least active managers over the last 7 years. It's just factual. And I'm sure it's tough on him. I'm sure it gets frustrating after a while because he wants this more than anybody. And he's just, I feel like he's just had a tough time staying consistent, especially, there was that spot in the middle of the year where he just lost a bunch in a row. He had a really tough schedule. I mean, I felt like when we were looking at all these schedules, when we knew it was just like, oh man, out of the gate, Frank's got a lot of tough guys to play. And he just didn't do strongly against them. He just didn't. He had the Haber brothers, he had Jason. It was just, yeah, he had Joe. He was able to actually get through Joe the first time. So I know it's been a tough season for him. And yeah, we're just waiting for that big year from him where he can do it over a full season. Right now, it's just across the board. He hasn't really been strong. I tried to find something that he was pretty decent in. He's 5th in the league in doubles with 177. So there is that, and he's 4th in the league in runs with 484. He's actually tied for 3rd with me. So there's that, but in general, it's just across the board. 6 and 6 in runs, 8 and 4 in the doubles with 3 ties, 4 and 5 in triples, 7 and 7 in home runs, 7 and 6 in RBIs, 8 and 6 in stolen bases, 7 and 7 in walks, 6 and 9 in strikeouts, 8 and 5 in errors, 6 and 9 in average, 9 and 6 on base percentage. It's actually better than I thought. They got a decent amount of things going over 500 here, but then on the other side, it's 9-6 in innings pitched, 8 and 6 in wins, 5 and 9 in losses, 2 and 11 in saves, 7 and 7 in home runs given up, 4 and 10 in walks given up, 7 and 8 in strikeouts, 6 and 9 in ERA, 5 and 10 in WHIP, and 7 and 8 in relief appearances. Obviously, a little bit better on the offensive side against opponents, but in general, not a lot of consistency across the board.
No, and that's not the markings of a playoff team. It's not a markings of a team that's going to be in the hunt when things finish out this season. All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. It's going to be Jimmy Dunlap taking on Henry Collins. And we've got Jimmy taking down a 15-5 drubbing, putting himself right back in contention here, Benji.
Yeah, no question. Now he's 10 under 500. He's right there. He changed his team name, and it was almost like, well, if something happens, whoops, I'm wrong, but here I am back in the race. But I think he's something like 7.5 out of a playoff spot. Like, it's nothing. With 6 weeks left, like, that's really nothing, and it's just scary right now. The only thing that the rest of the league can feel good about is, has any team had been riddled with injuries like this team? I think the answer is no. He's just had it really, really tough from the beginning. And to his credit, he's been able to weather the storm as best as you can with what he can find in free agency. But he's been finding a combination, and no question, he's making it work in some way or another. I spoke to him during the break.
Mhm.
He knew he had a good lead there, and I said, "Listen, you just got to step on the buggy, though. Like you can't let this thing get away." And he told me this is the hardest, which is crazy for a guy that has an Excel spreadsheet. But he said this is the hardest I've ever worked in any season. So that just blows my mind, and it should be probably pretty scary for the rest of us because you know that if this guy gets close within the next like the 2 weeks to go or something, the fact that this guy has missed by one stat in the past and has also lost the tiebreaker for the final playoff spot, you know he's hungry, regardless. No matter how many stats he's out, he's not going to be giving up at all. So I give him a lot of credit because Henry, he made the playoffs this last year. Henry's been a solid team around 500 or above most of the season. Now it's been a little below, but come on, to get plus 10 over Henry Collins in the long week. Very, very impressive based on the roster he's needed to construct throughout this entire season.
No doubt. No doubt. It was 17-4 coming in Jimmy's favor. It ends up 15-5 as Henry tied doubles and flipped on base percentage. Jimmy had a 10 tick on base percentage and 1 double lead. Close categories this week. Jimmy wins by a run, a triple, 4 walks by a batter, 2 errors, 3 wins, 2 losses, 3 walks by a pitcher, and 2 relief appearances. That is 8 close categories that fell in his favor. Henry did not win anything close. They tied in doubles. Benji, for Jimmy on his bench this week, he goes 8 for 43.
Oh, come on. So the 8 for 43,
8 for 43.
244.
186.
Whoa. Oh my God, 1 for 5, 200, not 250. Oh my God, guys. It's 11:23 here Eastern Standard Time. Just saying. That was bad. That was as bad as it gets. That's as bad as it gets. Wow.
5 runs, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, a walk, 11 strikeouts, and an error. None of it plays.
Yeah, the only offensive category he didn't really win was doubles. He pretty much won everything else.
Yeah, he lost strikeouts, but winning strikeouts means you got more strikeouts than your opponent. So
Right.
I get what you mean. He used all 9 ads this week for Jimmy. He starts off with everybody's favorite AEW announcer, Kevin Kelly, getting dropped for Hans Kraus for a clean relief appearance. Hans Kraus gets dropped for Gregory Santos for a clean relief appearance. Brendan Rodgers for Zach Geloff, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. And Garrett Clevenger for Rowdy Tellez, 1 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He drops Matt McClain for Hunter Strickland for a bad relief appearance. Drops Yariel Rodriguez for Ryan Pepio, 6 innings, a win, 4 strikeouts, nothing earned against Cleveland. He drops Tellez for Michael Toglia. More on that guy next week. 1 for 3 with a run, a double, a walk, and a strikeout. He drops Gregory Santos for Joey Estes. Drops Brooks Lee for Hans Kraus for a bad relief appearance. And drops Ryan Pepio. His MVP this week is Alec Burleson. This guy, 381 with a 364 on base, 8 runs, 3 doubles, 5 homers, 17 RBIs, and only 4 strikeouts. 17 RBIs.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
No idea. The least valuable hitter could have been Geloff. It could have been quite a few guys, but it's going to be Nolan Gorman this week. 194 with a 242, 5 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, 18 strikeouts. 18 strikeouts. That's what's getting that.
He had one more strikeout than Burleson had RBIs.
Insane. The Cy Young goes to Dylan Cease, who threw a no-hitter this week. Congratulations to that guy. And he had another start. So it's 13 innings, 2 wins, 4 walks, 21 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.46. The Cy Young goes to Carlos Rodon, who over 2 starts was very bad. 8 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 5 walks, 12 strikeouts, a 6.75 and a 1.75. For Henry on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 9 for 35.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Sorry.
Hold on. Let me just really think about it now because I just rushed it last time. Say it again.
9 for 35.
250, 258.
Oh.
257.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
At
got
least
that
a
one.
little more respectable.
Yeah, you got that one, buddy. 3 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The 3 runs would have played. The double certainly does play. Looks like that came on
The 14th.
the 14th, which would have been this first Sunday before the break.
It was Matt Vierling, 1 for 4 with a double. Probably could, I guess over Brian De La Cruz didn't get a hit. Yeah.
Okay.
It was gettable. It was gettable.
He also had second base empty, actually, so it was very gettable.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
He had,
not pretty.
He had Andres
No,
Jimenez.
that's not pretty at all.
He had Andres Jimenez in his utility spot, just move him up to second base, and boom.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Phil and fit them both in.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think he missed it? Do you think he missed it? Like he didn't realize he could construct his lineup that way?
I don't know.
He used 6 moves this week. He dropped Michael Mercado for Hunter Strickland for a clean relief appearance. Dropped Strickland for Outman 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He dropped Ben Rortvedt for Seth Martinez, who had an okay relief appearance. Dropped Outman for Ryan Nelson, 7 innings, 5 strikeouts, a 3.86 and 0.71 against Toronto. He dropped Seth Martinez for Austin Wells, 0 for 3 with a walk. He dropped Miguel Rojas for Jose, oh my God, Iglesias, 2 for 4 with a stolen base and a strikeout. The MVP this week, of course, is Bobby Witt Jr. 484 with a 500 on-base percentage, 7 runs, a double, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and an error. The least valuable hitter goes to Jurickson Profar, 152 with a 200, 4 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. The Cy Young goes to Ryan Nelson that we spoke about, and the Cy Young goes to, I don't know, I guess Zach Gallen, really bad at his first start. Zach Gallen overall, 14 innings, a win, a loss, 2 bombs, 8 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 6.43 and a 1.93. Yeah, I think that'll do.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was like really like in the start against Toronto, he had a 14.73 ERA, and then he bounced back with a decent start in Chicago. So it was a tale of 2 starts. But I mean, Henry pitched he pitched pretty well with just over a 3 ERA. So he had a really good pitching week.
Yeah, and a 94 2/3 innings and only a 3.04 ERA. Benji, what'd you see here, my friend?
Well, look, it's obvious that this was such an important week for Jimmy, even more so than Henry. So it was more of a must win for him. And I didn't expect a triple up when I spoke to Henry right before Sunday was going to happen. He was saying the best I can hope for is a quadruple up. So he did better than that. So I'll give him that. I don't know, man. You'd have to tell me if you like Henry's schedule going forward, because to me, I don't know, man. It's a toughie. It's Cody finishing this week, right? We know that he actually won this week, 14-5. Then it's Adam, Jay, Mike Sherman, Costas, Bobby, and then he finishes with Josh, right? And then as opposed to Jimmy's, it's Ari, then Joe, Cody, Adam, Jay, Mike Sherman is how he ends it. If I had to look at them, they're close, they're comparable, but I'll go through them again. Okay, here's the
I'd
one for
probably take I'd probably take Jimmy's just on the first listen through because he has both Ari and Mike Sherman on that schedule.
right, right. Whereas Henry just has Mike Sherman.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, look, Jimmy right now, it's weird that he's actually hanging in here right now because he's actually the worst in our league in batting average and on base percentage
Hmm.
with a 234 average and a 306 on base. He's also the third to worst in errors. Sorry, Jason, you're actually the worst in errors with 56,
Yeah,
but he
that's
has
right.
50. Um, Across the board, you just look, it's 7-7 in runs, 7-7 in doubles, 2-10 in triples, which I'm sure if there's someone that gets annoyed by that, it's him. 4-6 in home runs, 5-10 in RBIs, 6-6 in stolen bases with 3 ties, 9-5 in walks, 7-7 in strikeouts, 6-6 in errors, 5-10 in batting average, 6-9 in on base percentage. We're talking about like 500 or a little under each time, and yeah, it's not exactly pretty. On the pitching side, it's 10-5 in innings pitched, 10-4 in wins, 6-7 in losses, 1-12 in saves, 4-7 in home runs given up, 7-8 in walks given up. 11-4 in strikeouts, 7-8 in ERA, 11-4 in WHIP, and 8-7 in RAP.
It's not quite there. It just doesn't feel like it's there, and somehow he's pushing toward 500 again. And here we are. He's only what 10 under right now.
Okay. Which offense do you like better between these two teams?
Mm.
Jason, I'll defer to you.
Yeah. I probably. Yes, I feel like
I can't answer the question. That's why I
yeah.
asked
I
it.
think it's two sides of the same coin. They both are pretty even in that regard.
Mhm.
I mean Henry has Bobby Witt, so like he has a stud in the stable there, whereas Jimmy doesn't really have like a guy to go to like that star hitter. I mean,
Yeah, he tore his ACL leading off the second base earlier this year.
right. So he did, but now he doesn't. So,
Mhm.
but he's making it work with this, kind of duct taped lineup. I guess I'm gonna go with Henry's. But I think in this case also the manager is a big part of it too.
For sure. Joe?
Yeah, I think I'm going to tend to agree. I don't believe in guys like Patrick Bailey and Michael Toglia and Justin Turner and Wyatt Langford. No, no. I'll lean Henry's offense slightly, if only because I'm not going to have to rely on a guy like Luis Robert to carry the load.
Right,
I don't know that
right.
that guy is somebody that you
Yeah.
should be able to rely on in a fantasy setting,
Yeah,
whereas you
no,
can with Bobby Witt Jr.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So for Henry, it's 7-7 in runs, 8-5 in doubles with 2 ties, 5-8 in triples, 4-10 in home runs. So he hasn't been strong with the power against opponents. 8-6 in RBIs with 1 tie, 7-6 in stolen bases, just a little over 500, 5-10 in walks, 9-5 in strikeouts, 10-3 in errors with 2 ties, 7-8 in average, 6-9 in on base percentage. Those numbers are just weird as far as the offense. It just found it kind of strange. It's like getting crushed like 2-1 in home runs, but he's almost bent like that with RBIs, better than average. It just I don't know. It just seems weird. And then as far as the pitching goes, 8-7 in innings pitched, 4-10 in wins, 6-7 in losses, 9-3 in saves. Henry has really, really focused on his bullpen this year. 7-8 in home runs given up, 7-7 in walks, 8-7 in strikeouts, 8-7 in ERA, 6-9 in WHIP, 6-9, 6-7 in RAP. Guys, like
It's
just
500 and not much better.
in both of these, in both the offense and in the pitching. Like there's like balance, but there isn't. It's just I'm just wondering how this thing can hold together. We know that he should be able to win in saves or at least compete in that category week to week. But again, I'm not crazy about either of these offensive teams. I will say, even though we tend to like Henry's a little bit better, Jimmy is the more experienced manager. He's making more ads than basically anybody except Jason. I mean, as far as the grind, I like Jimmy a little bit better about how to play to the score against opponents. But Henry just came off a very, very impressive win against Cody, a very impressive win. And a lot of it was like, why the hell are these guys getting 4 hits a day? But we'll get into that next week. I will just say that I might be underestimating Henry's offense, but I will not underestimate Jimmy's management and his ability to put together a winning team week to week.
It's going to be really interesting to see which one of these teams' hearts is broken because I don't think they both make the playoffs. I don't think there's a world where both Jimmy and Henry are in.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to be on the outside looking in. It's going to be one of these guys. There's going to be 10 teams that don't make the playoffs this year. We're going to have to find out. Let's move on to the final matchup here. And it is one of the guys in the playoffs taking down a loss at the hands of Bryan Lebo. Our spoilers are playing spoiler this week, Benjamin. You got to love it.
Yeah, very, very impressive. The way it's done, too, is with close categories and making all the ads necessary in order to grab that win. You're right. That's what I love.
On Sunday, it looks like Bryan. Is this Bryan? Yeah, Bryan had a 12-9 lead. It finishes up 12-9. So despite the fact that Cody flipped strikeouts by a hitter and batting average, Lebo flipped losses in ERA. So they both flipped a bunch of stuff. Jason, what do I got here in front of me?
Yeah. It was fascinating to watch. Like, just the fact that, like, Sunday was a crazy day. Like, okay, so Cody hit 409 and Lebo struck out 7 times. So Cody took those, but then Cody pitched to a 7.99 ERA with 3 losses to lose those categories back to Lebo. So it was just fun to watch that on Sunday. How, like, it ended up being the same score, so it didn't matter. It was just fun to watch.
4 different categories flipping, and the score remains the same. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. Close categories this week. Bryan wins by 3 runs, 2 walks by a hitter. Very, very small amount on the on-base percentage. 2 wins and a loss and 2 name changes. He changed his name twice this week?
3 times. Well,
3 times.
He changed it twice. So he had 3 names and Cody had 1. So that was a close category.
All right. Cody wins by 3 strikeouts, 3 errors, 2 ticks on the average, and a home run given up by a pitcher. They did not tie in anything. Benjamin, for Lebo's bench this week, he goes 1 for 8.
Oh, I don't remember 1 for 8. So 188.
It's 125 because that would be half of 1 for 4.
Right, which is 250, and then you just split it 1 for 4.
Yay.
125. Oh my God, guys.
It's 11:40 at night. I'm giving you
Sunday.
credit. For his Bryan's moves this week, he used all 10. He dropped Dylan Lee for Thiago Vieira, who had an okay relief appearance. Dropped Masataka Yoshida for Shea Langoliers, 2 for 5 with a run, an RBI, and 3 strikeouts. Dropped Pedro Pajes for Ahmed Rosario, 2 for 3 with a run and a strikeout. Dropped Ethan Roberts. I almost wrote out Evan Roberts. I remember this one. He had Carson Spires, 5 innings, a win, a home run, 9 strikeouts, a 540, and a 120 against Miami. He dropped Ahmed Rosario for Dylan Lee, a clean relief appearance. Dropped Carson Spires for Juan Yepes, 2 for 4, a run, a double, a walk, and the namesake of the team, the Yepes dispensers.
Sir.
Diego Vieira gets dropped for JP Sears, 5 2/3, a win, 2 bombs, 4 strikeouts, a 3.18 and a 1.59 in LA. Dylan Lee gets dropped for Ben Lively, who was good in at home against San Diego. JP Sears gets dropped for Bryce Elder, who was horrible against St. Louis. Shea Langoliers gets dropped for Andrew Haney, who was good against Baltimore. And Elder gets dropped after his bad start. The MVP this week, Ellie De La Cruz, 333 with a 415 on base percentage, 5 runs, 5 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 5 walks, 11 strikeouts, and 2 errors. 5 doubles, 5 stolen bases. How many steals does he have on the season now?
I think he's up to like 51.
51 on the season now.
I think that when I saw that, like, the next closest one to him was like 27 away or something like that. Like, something
wow,
like that. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely insane. And how many homers does he have this year?
He's up to
18. That's respectable. Like, he's probably going to go 25, 50 easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The least valuable hitter this week goes to Josh Bell. 176 with a 243 on base percentage, a run, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, 14 strikeouts, and an error. And I believe he was just DFA'd today.
He's being placed on waivers. I think it's time that Bryan dropped this guy.
Yeah, I think it's nut cutting time, and that guy doesn't cut the nuts.
Yeah.
His Cy Young this week goes to Hunter Green. Wherever he is, I missed him. There he is. 6 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 150, and an 067. And the Cy Young goes to Andrew Nardi, who is off the team, I would assume.
No, he's still there.
What? Why?
I don't know.
3 innings, 3 homers, 5 strikeouts, a 12, and a 167.
Also, I thought it was curious that Miles Michaelis pitched 17 2/3 innings. He made 3 starts this week and struck out 8.
Wow.
That was it.
That is not many.
Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Yep. For Cody on his bench this week, Benjamin, he goes 10 for 44.
Oh my God. Don't make me do this. 10 for 44.
Yes, sir.
$228.
Oh.
227. Amazing work, dude.
I take my time to think about it, but
yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. 4 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 3 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, and an error. The 7 strikeouts would have played, but more importantly, the 4 runs would have played as he lost that one by 3.
I also wonder
if basically any walk or hit would have changed on base percentage.
Exactly. Yep.
What were you going to say, Jason?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay.
On bases was razor thin, so probably one of the walks probably would have done it.
One, yeah. But I mean, you look at it the same way how close batting average was. Like, my God, any hit that Bryan could find, if Bryan could just find one more hit, he gets it.
Yeah. Cody used all 10 this week. He dropped Mitch Spence for Nick Sandlin for a clean relief appearance, dropped John Singleton for Austin Voth, who took a loss, gave up a bomb, did not record an out in a relief appearance. He dropped Nick Sandlin for Sir Anthony Dominguez, who has a clean relief appearance. Dropped Daniel Schneemann. What team, Ben?
Right. He's definitely a hitter, and he's on Cleveland.
No.
Detroit.
No, I have no idea, actually. He was right.
It is Cleveland.
Nice job. I actually had no idea. He picked up Drew Rasmussen, who's on the IL. He dropped Sir Anthony Dominguez for Kobe Mayo, who was in the minors. He dropped Drew Rasmussen for Tyler Molly, who was on the IL. He dropped Sean Murphy for Aaron Savale, who had a bad restart against Miami. Oh, really? I lost that?
What'd you lose?
There we go. Oh,
Okay.
nothing. Just some of the notes. He dropped Austin Voth for Dean Kramer. 5 1/3, a loss, a homer, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 506, and a 150 against Texas. He then drops Tyler Molly for Lucas Ursig, who was bad in his relief appearance, and dropped Kobe Mayo for Jason Hayward with a 2-run homer on the bench.
With center field empty.
Jason with center field empty, so he just benched him outright.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess the home run wouldn't have mattered. The home run and the RBI wouldn't have mattered, but there's the on-base percentage.
Yeah, that would have flipped that.
On Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're seeing kind of what I was alluding to with Jay a little while ago, like the Rasmussen, the Molly, the Kobe Mayo, like these guys that are just kind of not really on the precipice of being in the major leagues. So like I get wanting to hang on to some of these guys for when they do come back, but when you're kind of in this dogfight, I feel like you kind of want most of your guys to be active currently. So yeah, that was something that I noticed from Cody this week.
Yeah, like pick one and go with it.
Right.
But don't pick one, drop him for another one, and then drop him for a third. Benji.
We don't have to tell him everything that he should do. You know what I mean? He could figure out some of it for himself. The guy's having a pretty darn good season without our help. My
That's
God.
a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. Here we go. The guy has been doing an awesome job. Firstly, if you didn't know this, he is the leader in innings in our league. He has 1,112 and 2/3 innings. He also leads our league in wins with 85 wins. Oh, by the way, he also leads our league in strikeouts with 1,123. He's actually struck it out more than he's pitched innings, which is extremely impressive. He's also second in runs with 495, only second to Adam with 499. In runs, he's 9-6. In doubles, 8-5 with 2 ties. Triples, he's 9-3. 8-6 in home runs with 1 tie. 11-4 in RBIs. 5-9 in stolen bases. 10-3 in walks. 9-5 in strikeouts by a batter. 5-6 in errors. 8-7 in average. 8-7 in on-base percentage. This is basically over 500 across the board. 12-3 in innings pitched, 10-4 in wins. We know he's killing in innings and wins. Losses 3-10 with 2 ties. Saves 3-10 with 2 ties. Home runs given up 4-10 with 1 tie. Walks given up 8-7, just a little over 500. Strikeouts 11-3 with 1 tie, no surprise. 4-11 in ERA, 8-7 in WHIP. 4-11 in ERA, but 8-7 in WHIP. Go figure that. 4-11 in relief appearances. I mean, maybe a little weaker on the pitching than on the hitting, but in general, solid team, right?
Yeah, it sounds like the pitch all the innings you possibly can and get as many wins and strikeouts as you can, and then hope that your ERA and WHIP are good enough to compete. Like that's the strategy going forward. The problem is you're going to take losses, you're going to take home runs, you're going to take walks given up, and those 3 categories suffer because of it.
Yeah, and that's a question, right? And not to mention that there's a good amount of times where you could do that and actually burn yourself in ERA and WHIP. But this strategy is working for him. We've seen it work with Brian Lebo. We've seen it work in times for Frank Bucco or even you, Joe. Like there are certain times where you can see it continuously work week to week, and it seems like at least for now it hasn't burned him so much.
Right. He's sitting rather pretty in the 4 spot, and he's going to be in this fight until the end as well. But he might be one of those hearts that gets broken late in the season. It would be really sad to see this because he's had a really nice run as a rookie.
No doubt. And obviously, listen, this was if I'd known how amazing this guy was going to be, it would have taken till March to get him on board, Jason. I mean, this was a great find out of you. And although now it's maybe he's scuffling a little, he's now taken 3 losses in a row. The one to Mike Haber, this one to Bryan, and now this one that just happened actually to Henry, 14-5. The rest of the schedule, he faces me next week. Then Ari, Jimmy, Joe, Adam, and he finishes with Jay Ferraro. There's a little mixed bag there, but there are some really, really tough ones that he's going to have to fight through and weather the storm. Like you said, man, this might be one that gets its heart broken. I almost, you could even go as far and say collapse for him get based on the fact that he was so strong for so long this season. If it's something like in the week 21 or week 22 where he starts to fall out, that would be a bummer, but it would be something that's pretty insane for the league.
Jason, final thoughts on Cody's team here before we talk about
Yeah,
managers of the week.
I'm gonna hit on his key players.
Smart idea.
Yeah. So for the MVP, it's kind of a mixed bag between Julio and Corbin Carroll because Corbin Carroll only hit 222 with a 324 on base, but he had 11 RBIs, 7 runs scored, a double, 3 homers, 4 steals, and 4 walks. But Julio hit 483 with a 545, 5 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, but 10 strikeouts. So I feel like you put those two together and you have an MVP. And I'm giving the least valuable hitter to Gunnar, but everybody kind of did something on this team this week. The offense is just ridiculous. Gunnar went 256 with a 293, 5 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young is Cole Reagan, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, a 129 and 071. And the Cy Yuck is Austin Voth, who is off the team and doesn't matter.
Yeah, he was very bad in his relief appearance. Shout out to Sir Anthony Dominguez, who was also very bad in his relief appearances.
Yes.
What is this? My God, yeah, this really was a pretty brutal. A 2 1/3, 2 losses, 2 losses through the 4 appearances, 2 losses, 2 home runs given up, a walk and 3 strikeouts, 11.57 ERA, and a 171 whip. Yikes! Yeah,
Yeah. Ugly.
That was pretty brutal, and yet he still won whip somehow with all that crap, but he did blow ERA, so maybe that's the reason.
Yeah.
I just want to give Bryan Lebo his flowers here. We certainly appreciate him always fighting here to the very, very end and playing spoiler as well as he has this season. Great win for him this week on a team in contention. So thank you, Bryan. We love and appreciate you, man.
Yeah, it shouldn't be forgotten that he is working his ass off, and he has come a long way from having a really, really tough start. He lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. 6 in a row before winning 2 in a row and then just losing 2 in a row. But now he's won his last couple, so there's some momentum here. And I think I've said it before, everyone knows that he is probably my favorite manager for the amount that he works in this league. It's no surprise that in the long week that he had 10 ads. Who knows when he even finished those off? It might have even been early. But this guy's going to grind it out. That's why when I look at him on the schedule, it's just oh no, I don't want to play Bryan. That's a trap match. You know that he's watching everything you do. You know that if he has nothing to gain, he's going to be close in strikeouts, he's going to bench all of his hitters. You know that if he has nothing to gain with walks and home runs given up and losses, his pitching, he's going to pitch out all his pitchers. He's watching everything he's doing day to day. So this was an impressive win from a guy that only gets one crack at it, at this new guy, Bryan Lebo. It's at Cody. And it's Bryan Lebo's just saying, listen, I came in 2020. I've been here a little bit longer than you, getting to win the first time we ever meet.
For the
Damn
record,
right.
me and Bryan Lebo are currently tied in the league for the most ads made with 159.
Yeah, I would probably guess that Jimmy is right there.
He is 10 behind us. He's actually not third.
Oh, Jay?
Jay Ferraro.
Yeah. That's great that Joe is not even in the top four is terrific.
No, he's
Nope.
The league has changed.
Indeed, it has. Let's talk about managers of the week, gentlemen, and get a bow on this one. So let's start with your number 3, Ben Nisman. Who is your number 3 manager of the week?
Thank you for starting with me, man, because I think after we finish our manager of the week, I'd also like to throw another question that all three of us can answer after we go through our number ones. And that's, did you like the way Yahoo constructed this all-star break? Do you miss the way they did it with it's just a straight 1 week and then you get the break and then it's consistently 10 or 11 days, or did you like having this break in the middle of the matchup? So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that, and I'll give mine as well.
Okay.
Number 3 for me is actually one that we did discuss today, and that's Jimmy Dunlap. Incredibly impressive with the roster that he's putting together and working to the score against Henry. This is the first time they've ever played each other. Triple up, very, very impressive to me. So there was so many guys that I wanted to put on this top 3, I'm telling you. But yeah, for me, Jimmy is one of them.
All right, Jason, who do you have at number 3?
I'm gonna go with you, big fella. I'm gonna go with you, Joe. Yeah, you take down a manager like Bobby Russo. You spend most of your week on a boat. That's pretty impressive to me. So you can flex all you want. Sorry, Bobby, but Joe, you did your thing, and again, you did it from most of it from the ocean. So pretty good stuff.
Thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate that. My number 3 is actually going to go to Bryan Lebo. We just talked about his big win over Cody here and spoiling a little bit here when you need it the most. Benjamin, who you got at number 2?
Number 2, we discussed it at the beginning of the show. Jason, it's got to be you. I had to ask, how did you do it? Playing against Jay, going back and forth with the ads, having to watch everything, held it down from the break, coming out of the break. Extremely impressive. The fact that you won so many of those very, very close categories, really, really, really well done. Some of the better managing I've seen you ever do.
Yeah, and
I
again,
tend to agree. I'm just going to echo real quick. You're my number 2 manager as well, Jason. Go ahead and accept your flowers.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, and a lot of it speaks to the opponent. I knew that Jay was gonna be a tough customer, and so I knew I had to bring the A game, and luckily it worked out.
Benji, who you got at, or Jason, who you got at number 2? Who you got at number 2?
Brian Lebo, we just talked about. Absolutely, yeah. Taking down a manager like Cody, who's been on top of the league, and he's breaking hearts just like I am. So kudos to you, Brian.
Well done, Mr. Lebo. Benji, who you got at number 1 this week, my friend?
Yeah, I don't have Bryan Lebo in mine, even though, yeah, when on-base percentage is that close and to take down a manager like that, I understand the acknowledgement. But for my number 1, we said him before, Joe, the way you beat Bobby while you're on a boat, I mean, is really, really impressive. I really, really love the way you worked your pitching this week, man. Like that was really, really tough the way you had to do it because you knew how Bobby was going to be aggressive. Obviously, your hitters balled out for you, but it was really how you constructed your pitching for the amount of time that you had to do it on a boat. I thought that was really, really amazing. So you're number 1 for me.
Thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate you. Jason, who you got at number 1?
A guy whose name we really haven't talked about this episode, but Josh Haber, another Sunday comeback. He was down all week, as far down as I think it was like 14-7 at one point, and he came back on Sunday with a Hayden Birdsong win.
Right.
Like just absolutely unreal that he came back again for the second Sunday in a row to flip it around. So I had to give kudos to Josh.
Josh, congratulations. You're not going to make my list. I am actually going to give number 1 to Jimmy Dunlap for his 15-5 win over Henry Collins. I know you wanted that one over your brother, Benji, but
yeah, I mean, 13-5 going into the break and coming out 13-7 after. To not find myself in the top 3 from either of you, slightly disappointing. But I will say that, man, it is an oversight by me to not put Josh on this list. As much as I love Jimmy, that comeback that he pulled off, that Josh pulled off, he was down. Not only was he down, guys, like he was down by a lot
Yeah.
Mhm.
against Costas, and he pulled that off. So that's a bit of an oversight by me. I apologize.
Guys, thank you both for being here with me. I always love doing these shows. Benji, you asked just a moment ago whether we liked the way they did it this year or way they did it in years past. Jason, I'll start with you here on this one. Did you like the way they did it this year, or would you prefer they go back to the way they've done it in years past, where the break starts a week and we get 10 days after the break?
Yeah, when I first saw that how this year they were structuring it, I was taken by surprise a little bit. But now looking back at it, I think I like it better. I like having that kind of look. The major leaguers have a break in the middle of the season. Why can't we? So it was kind of nice to just be able to coast for a few days, think about something else, turn this off for a minute, and come back on Friday and reboot. So I do kind of like it this way.
You like it this way, where the matchup is broken up into two segments
Yeah.
over, one. Benji, what about you,
Yeah, I
man?
didn't like it. I didn't like it very much, actually. I thought it was interesting that this was, and it's just totally a coincidence that it's our 20th season, and this is how they happen to do it on the 20th season. I just wonder if, like, coincidentally, this is how they're going to do it from now on, right? They'll never go back, or this just happened to do, like, it was a scheduling thing. Like, I have no idea why it happened like this, but no, I did not appreciate this. I think we could just have 10 or 11 consecutive days with not having something in the middle. I hear what you're saying, Jason. Yes, they get a break between the season, but they don't stop in the middle, like in the seventh inning of a game, in like a game that's like 4-2. And they say, you know what, after the break, we're going to go back to this game and we'll play the eighth and ninth inning. They don't, so that's why I think there's a bit of a disconnect. So I didn't appreciate it, but when it was 13-5 for me going into the break, I said, oh my God, normally I would have just lost to Ari 13-5. Like that's the end. But
Mhm.
because there was still a weekend left, I was looking forward to it. I was like, thank you, baseball gods. Thank you, Yahoo, because it can't get worse than 13-5 based on the stats. So it it's one of those things that I'll always remember, guys, because I know that already in the first week against Jimmy, which was the long week, he was out off, not in the country. So I had said on this show, week one, this is one that I just got flat out lucky. In week 16, guys, sorry, week 15 rather, in week 15, I got extremely lucky against Ari because of the way that Yahoo decided to design the season. So there has been so many circumstances where I'm just like, I'm just lucky. I played Joe when he didn't have Schwarber or Bryce Harper in his lineup for the entire time. There's been so many circumstances in this season that have been so weird, and I felt like, wow, I should be done by now. So I'm just grateful, and I've been having a lot of fun this season. So thank you guys for keeping it that way, because obviously without you, it's just not as fun. It's the competitiveness. It's that day to day. It's the fact that it's the All Star week and everyone's wondering how the hell they're going to navigate their ads through that. That's what's amazing.
Benji, thank you for making this league to create the environment for what it is. We love having you here, man. Thanks for being here with us.
No, it's a pleasure as always. Can't wait for tomorrow. We got a lot more to break down.
I know we've got one more week to go, Jason. How are we doing this? Tomorrow or Tuesday?
Whatever works for you guys. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
good. I'm
If
good.
we could do tomorrow, just keep on plugging them out tomorrow, Tuesday. We got a lot to do.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to do. Jason, thanks for being here with us, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. Always a pleasure, and yeah, I really like without really thinking about it, but I feel like this is the most fun and most competitive season we've had in quite some time. Where there's you mentioned Ari as a maybe a layup. there's really not a layup in this league right now. There's not, there's not a Matt Losey, or something like that where, you can kind of ease back. Even against a manager like Ari or Mike Sherman, who's not very active, they're still a quality manager. So yeah, it's a competitive season, and I'm just, I'm always thrilled to be part of this league.
Yeah. You're right. Like they're not a layup because they actually constructed their rosters in such a way that it's either a dangerous offense or a dangerous pitching staff.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. And Joe, before you sign off, I was curious what your thoughts were on this All-Star break, the way that Yahoo did it.
I don't know. I was on a boat for 8 days. I just sort of threw my phone on the side and was like, I'm not paying attention. But truthfully, um, I thought it was silly. I thought it was silly. I think we go back. If it were up to me, I would go back to the way we've done it in years past, because I want to know on Sunday that I'm done with this matchup. You know what I mean? That first
Yeah.
Sunday, I'm done with this matchup. I'm ready to move on to something else. I would rather be able to do that than have to wait 4 days to then play 3 more and then be done. Let me play 10 uninterrupted days against somebody in a long week. Yep.
Fair.
Guys, thank you all for being here, watching, and being a part of this league. We would have nothing if it wasn't for you. So until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you next time.